Good morning students. From today onwards we will be starting with the digestive system. We have almost covered most of the systems. If you remember, we have covered general physiology, the blood, cardiovascular system and the respiratory physiology. Okay. So from today onwards we will be starting with the digestive system. In today's class, I will be discussing about the functional anatomy of the gastrointestinal tract, that is the digestive system, and the composition and functions of the salivary juice. Okay, so in today's class, we will be learning about the functional anatomy of the gastrointestinal tract and the composition and functions of the salivary juice. So if you look at this diagram, you will come to know there are various organs which are involved in the digestive system. Okay, so just like your cardiovascular system, it has only the heart and the blood vessels. In the respiratory system, it has only the lungs. But digestive system, it is very more complicated because it has some main digestive organs as well as some other important structures as well. So to start with, we have the oral cavity, that is the mouth, okay, followed by the pharynx. Okay, in the mouth we have the teeth, the tongue. So all these structures, they aid in the process of digestion. So here is the oral cavity, and it has oral cavity means it is the other name given for the mouth. Okay, so mouth is called oral cavity. So in the oral cavity, you have the tongue and the teeth structure, followed by this one important structure called the epiglottis. Epiglottis, it is very important during the process of swallowing the food from the mouth into the pharynx. Okay, so because if epiglottis opens, what will happen? The food will not be, if the epiglottis, if it is open, the food cannot go directly into the esophagus. This is prevented by an important structure called the epiglottis. So next we have the pharynx. Okay, pharynx. So from the oral cavity, the food is going into the pharynx, and from the pharynx it will go to the esophagus. Okay, so the esophagus, it is a long muscular tube-like structure, and from the esophagus it will enter the stomach. Okay, stomach is a J-shaped structure, and from the stomach into the duodenum. So from here starts the small intestine. Okay, so this is the duodenum, and this is the jejunum and the ileum. Okay, duodenum, jejunum, ileum. These three structures together constitute the small intestine. Okay, so next from the ileum, it will directly connect to the cecum, then the ascending colon, the transverse colon, descending colon, then the sigmoid colon, rectum, and the anus. So this is going to form the large intestine. Probably you have studied all the structures in your school days. Okay, so just remember, so these are the different structures which are together constitute the digestive system. Okay, the digestive system. So along with these structures, we have the liver. Liver also plays a very important structure. Liver along with the gallbladder. So then comes the pancreas. Okay, pancreas, and this is the spleen which is present behind the stomach. Okay, so the overall the structure of the digestive system, it begins with the oral cavity and ends with the anus. So in between oral cavity and the anus, we have the pharynx, esophagus, the stomach, duodenum, jejunum, ileum, then the cecum, ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, the sigmoid colon, the rectum. Rectum is the place where the feces is stored, and finally it is the anus. This is the anal canal, and this is the anus. So this is the major components to show one more important structure in this diagram. So the major components of digestive system includes the mouth, that is the oral cavity. Okay, so this is the esophagus, and this is the stomach, and this is what is this? This is the duodenum. So duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. So these three structures together constitute small intestine, and this is the large intestine, colon. Ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, and the anus. So how is it different from the previous diagram? You can observe some of the dietary structures in this. Okay, so here comes some of the glands which are shown, which are present in the oral cavity. These glands are called the salivary glands. Okay, the salivary glands, they play a very important role in the secretion of salivary juice. So these are present in the oral cavity, salivary glands. Okay, so these are the salivary glands. Next, we have some special openings or special rings-like structures, muscular rings. So these are called the sphincters. Sphincters means they are the valves which acts like a valve. Okay. So first we have the upper esophageal sphincter that is present at the commencement of the esophagus. So we have upper esophageal sphincter, then the lower esophageal sphincter. Okay. So that is at the junction of esophagus and the stomach. We have the lower esophageal sphincter. This upper esophageal sphincter and lower esophageal sphincter. So next we have the pyloric sphincter. Pyloric sphincter means that is at the end portion of the stomach we have the pyloric sphincter. And here we have the duodenal sphincter. Okay, so here we have not duodenal, it is the ileococcal sphincter where the ileum opens into the cecum. Okay, it is the ileococcal sphincter. And finally, we have the internal and the external anal sphincters. Internal anal sphincter and external anal sphincter. So these sphincters, they play a very important role during the process of digestion. Okay, so when the food has to remain in the stomach, so what should be the position of this lower this pyloric sphincter? It should close. Only then the stomach can hold the food, isn't it? So these sphincters, they have a regulatory function as far as the process of digestion and absorptions are concerned. So now let us describe one by one the structure. So the gastrointestinal system, it comprises of the alimentary canal, and other associated organs. Alimentary canal means the entire thing is called the alimentary canal from oral cavity, that is mouth to anus. And other associated organs like the liver, pancreas, and the liver and the along with gallbladder and the pancreas. What is alimentary canal? Alimentary canal, it is a long tube starting at the mouth, passing through a pharynx, okay, passing through the pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and the anus. So that is the meaning of alimentary canal. So alimentary canal, it is a long tube starting at the mouth, that is the oral cavity, passing through the pharynx, esophagus, stomach, intestine, then the small intestine, large intestine, and the rectum, and it ends at the anus. Now, what are the important functions of gastrointestinal system? So the most important function of the gastrointestinal system is the digestive function. So what is this digestion? Digestion means it is the conversion of complex food particles into simple molecules. To tell it in simple words, by definition, it is the conversion of complex, insoluble, large organic molecules into easily absorbable forms. Okay, so this is the definition of digestion. So digestive functions include the ingestion of food. Of course, we need to place the food inside the mouth, and that is to be swallowed, that is to be taken in. This process is called ingestion. Placing of food into the mouth, chewing, lubrication, and moisturizing of food, and then swallowing is called ingestion of food. So ingestion of food includes you are taking the food, you are placing it inside the mouth, you are chewing it with the help of your teeth, you are lubricating it because the food will be getting mixed with the salivary juice which is secreted by the salivary glands, and then moistening. Okay, once it gets mixed with the saliva, it will be moistened. And finally, only when the food is chewed properly, lubricated, moistened, only then we can swallow the food. And this act of swallowing the food is called deglutition. It is a term used to describe the act of swallowing the food is called deglutition. Okay, so that is one important function of digestive system. That is the ingestion of food. Next, digestion of food. Digestion, as I told, is a process of breaking down of complex, insoluble organic molecules, large molecules into small, simple, soluble, small organic molecules which are very easy to absorb by the body. Okay, this is called digestion. Absorption of digested food. Okay, that is the third important, most important function. So absorption of digested food. So movement of digested molecules from the lumen of alimentary canal across its epithelial lining to the blood column. Absorption means the swallowed food goes it passes through the alimentary canal. Finally, when it reaches the small intestine, that is the place where the nutrients are getting absorbed. Okay, to tell it in simple words, suppose if you consume a sugar cake, what does it contain? It mainly contains carbohydrate. So carbohydrate means it is by digestion it is broken down into, that is from a polypeptide chain, carbohydrate moiety into a simple sugar molecules. So these sugar molecules can be absorbed. Okay, so that it will, and this process will be taking place in the intestine. So that is the meaning of absorption. So from the intestine abdomen, it will be entering into the intestine epithelial cells, and finally it is entering into the bloodstream. So that is how we are getting our energy from the ingested food. Okay. So finally then the blood. So once it adds on to the blood, that is called absorption. Okay. Now egestion. Egestion means it is the excretion of unwanted undigested food in the form of feces. Feces means stools. So any unwanted or undigested food particles need to be thrown out of the body, and this process is called egestion, excretion, egestion. Some of the non-digestive functions of the digestive system are the role in the immune system because of the presence of lymphoid tissues. Okay, wherever the lymphoid tissue is present, it is defensive in function. It will protect the body against infections. So where are they present? They are present in the tonsils. Tonsils means they are the certain those rounded structures which are present in the throat. Okay. So tonsils, that plus adenoids. Adenoids are also the collection of lymphoid tissue which are present in the nasopharynx. Okay. Next, Peyer's patches. Peyer's patches means these are large collection of lymphoid tissue which are present in the intestine. So we need to have so many lymphoid tissue in the digestive tract because we are continuously getting exposed to various microbes which may be present in the food, or which may be present in the infected food. Okay, in order to protect us from the infections, we need to have a large amount of lymphoid tissue in the alimentary canal. And this provides this lymphoid tissue which is present in these patches, that is in the intestine, tonsils, adenoids, it will provide two types of immunity: humoral immunity and cell-mediated immunity. Humoral immunity means it is the antibody production. It will protect the body by producing specific antibodies against specific pathogen. And cell-mediated immunity means some of the lymphocytes. Okay, in the blood we have blood. In WBCs we have lymphocytes. So some of the lymphocytes, they themselves fight individually with the pathogen and they provide immunity. So they provide both humoral and cell-mediated immunity against the pathogens entering the body from the alimentary canal. So come to the functional organization of the gastrointestinal system. Mouth. Mouth is the oral cavity or buccal cavity contains tongue like a teeth. This has a vestibule. Vestibule means a large area. Okay, it has a vestibule and this has a oral cavity proper. And what is the function of the tongue? So tongue helps in tasting the food. Okay. If tongue is not functioning, you don't understand the taste. You don't get to know the taste of the food. And this tongue, it also helps in chewing and swallowing of the food. Okay, so tongue helps in tasting the food There is swallowing, swallowing. Okay, so swallowing of the food. Teeth. What are the functions of teeth? Teeth, we have different types of teeth: incisors, canines, molars, and premolars. So incisors, they are the front teeth, incisors. So they are strong and they are cutting in action. Okay, they help in cutting some of the hard food. Then canines, canines for tearing action. So in humans, the canines are not so well developed, they are not so prominent. But if you observe animals like cheetah, tiger, if you look at the oral cavity, if you observe the teeth, canines will be very prominent. So these are the teeth which helps them to tear the meat into pieces. Okay, so the canines are well developed in low animals. Molars and premolars, they help in grinding the food. Okay, so they are the sides where the food is grinded. Next, pharynx. Pharynx, what is this pharynx? Pharynx means it is a median passage common to the gastrointestinal tract and respiratory system. So this pharynx is being divided into oropharynx, which leads to into the oral cavity, nasopharynx, which leads into the nasal cavity of the. So this is a common passage for gastrointestinal system and respiratory system. So because of it, when we are swallowing, there is every chance of getting entry into the respiratory passage, that is the trachea. You might have observed sometimes when you are talking and eating, suddenly you will start coughing. Okay, that is because that denotes the food has entered into the trachea, that is the respiratory passage. Okay, so here this is prevented by the important structure, that is the epiglottis. So when you are swallowing, the epiglottis should close and it should prevent the passage of food into the respiratory system. So therefore, while swallowing, the food has to be prevented from entering into the trachea, and this is done by the epiglottis. Okay, so the epiglottis closes the passage of food into the respiratory system. Esophagus. Esophagus, it is a long muscular tube which is about 25 centimeters long. Okay, yeah, small scale is 15 centimeters. So more than that, almost 25 centimeters long, and had an upper esophageal sphincter at the junction with the pharynx and lower esophageal sphincter at its junction with the stomach. That is, the openings which are present in the esophagus are upper esophageal sphincter, lower esophageal sphincter. Stomach. So stomach, it is a J-shaped hollow muscular bag. It is not a very rigid structure. It is like a bag, and it is a muscular bag. It is made up of full of muscles. Okay. So J for jealous. Always you get burning sensation in the stomach if you eat spicy food or oily food or this thing. Okay. So J for jealous. It is burning. So stomach. So stomach, it is J-shaped hollow muscular bag connected to esophagus on the upper end and connected to duodenum on the lower side. Next is the small intestine. Small intestine, it is again a long tubular structure having three parts. Duodenum, the first part of the small intestine, so which begins from the lower end of the stomach. Okay, so this is the duodenum. It is again 25 centimeters in length and it is C-shaped. Okay, and it is C-shaped. Jejunum, it is the middle part of the small intestine. It is again 25 meters. Okay, this is what is 25 centimeters. This is in meters, 25 meters long. Okay, 25 meters long. And ileum, ileum, it is a terminal small portion of the small intestine, and this is again 3.5 meters long. Okay, so the overall small intestine, the length of the small intestine is how much? 25 plus 28.5 meters. Again, 28.5 meters, approximately 29 meters. The length of the small intestine is 29 meters. Okay, large intestine. Large intestine, it encloses the coils of small intestine, and this is more fixed, whereas the small intestine is movable, freely movable. So this is more fixed. This has cecum Then the colon, in the colon we have ascending, transverse and descending colon. Then the anal colon is present, anal colon, and the appendix and the rectum. Appendix is a vestigial organ, accessory organ. It is rudimentary. That means it is not having any functions in adults. Okay, it is nothing but it is having a collection of lymphoid tissue. This appendix. Okay, sometimes in most of the individuals, if it is being removed also in case if they have developed appendicitis. So that time usually the surgeon exercises remove the appendix from the body. Okay, and this is the cecum, the anal colon, and the anus. So colon is divided into ascending. This entire thing is the colon. It is being divided into ascending colon, transverse colon, and descending colon. So, the summary of this functional organization of gastrointestinal system is the first part, that is the oral cavity. It helps in the reception of food, it helps in receiving the food. Whereas the second part, which may be taken as from the pharynx to the stomach, conduction of fluids, passage of food from the oral cavity to the stomach. So, it is the pharynx and the esophagus helps in the conduction of the food, and the stomach helps in storage of food. Then the third part means we can take the stomach itself. So the early digestion, the process of digestion, it begins in the mouth as well as in the stomach. Okay, the early digestion begins in the mouth itself as well as in the stomach. Then the fourth part is helps in final digestion and absorption, that is the intestine. And the fifth part, elimination of undigested food, that is the function of large intestine. So that is about the components of the structures which are present in the alimentary canal and their functions. Now let us say we need to understand the molecular level in order to understand the absorption mechanism. So what is the wall of the gastrointestinal tract is made up of? So the structure of the gastrointestinal epithelial wall. Okay. So this gastrointestinal wall, it is almost like the alimentary canal. It is like a tube. Okay, it is like a tube. If you look at the tube, it is having a thickened wall. This represents the wall, and this is called the lumen. The centermost opening portion, the open area, is called the lumen, and this is the wall. So now I am going to discuss about the structure which are present in the wall of the gastrointestinal mucosa. So the wall of the gastrointestinal tract consisting of 4 layers. Okay, serosa, muscular layer, submucosa, and mucosa. So if you are seeing from here, this is the lumen. This is the gastrointestinal lumen. The food will be passing through the lumen, and this is the gastrointestinal wall. Okay, and from inside to outside, we have mucosa, submucosa, muscularis mucosa, and then the serosa. So serosa, it is the outermost covering of the gastrointestinal tract, whereas the mucosa, it is the innermost lining of the gastrointestinal mucosa. So mucosa, so this is the luminal structure. Okay, this is the lumen, exactly how I shown in the height. So this is the luminal structure. The line, the layer which is close to the lumen of the gastrointestinal tract is called mucosa, tunica mucosa. Next to the mucosa, we have submucosa, which is present below the mucosa is called submucosa, which is mainly consisting of connective tissue. So below the submucosa, we have layer of only the muscle tissue, and this is called tunica muscularis, or the muscular layer. Then the outermost covering of the wall is the serosa. Serosa means it is the outermost covering of the gastrointestinal tract. Coming to the serosa. Serosa, it is the uppermost covering. The 2 layers of the mesentery separate drain towards the gut and forms the serosa. So at this point, to remember, there is a protective covering for this, which is called peritoneum. So peritoneum is nothing but it is the outermost covering of the gastrointestinal tract. This you will need to learn in anatomy. Then absent in the duodenum and lower end of the rectum. So this serosa will be absent in the duodenum and one layer, the muscles are arranged in longitudinal fashion, whereas in the other layer, the muscles are arranged in circular fashion. So this is the meaning of outer longitudinal and inner circular layer. Whereas stomach, it has an additional oblique layer. In stomach, I had told it is a muscular bag. Okay, it is made up of full of muscles. So in addition to this outer longitudinal and inner circular, it is having one more layer of muscles, that is obliquely arranged muscles. Longitudinal, then circular and obliquely placed muscles in the stomach. Then one more important structure which is present, an additional oblique layer will be present, and this has got entire the gastrointestinal triangle has got two types of nerve flexes. Okay, nerve flexes means it should be regulated by the higher centers. So it should have its own nerve supply. If any muscles are there, they should have continuous nerve supply. If the nerve is cut, the muscle is not going to function. So there are two different types of flexes which are present in the muscularis layer. These are called myogenic plexus, oil plexus. They lies between the two layers of the muscular layer. The myogenic plexus is also called oil plexus. Okay, and this is present in the muscular layer. Submucosa. Submucosa, it lies inner to the muscle layer. So from the outermost to inside, serosa we have discussed, muscularis layer we have discussed. Now the submucosa. Submucosa, it lies inner to the muscular layer. It is mainly consisting of those connective tissue, elastic fibers, then the vascular plexus, and one more important nerve fibers, that is called the venous plexus. Venous plexus means the connection of nerve bundles, nerve fibers. Okay, venous plexus. So this is present in submucosa. Whereas oil plexus or myogenic plexus, which was present in the muscularis layer. Whereas venous plexus, it is present in submucosa. Then some of the glands, the digestive glands, which help in the secretion of juice. Brunous glands are also present in the duodenum, especially in the submucosa. So mucosa, it is the innermost lining of the gastrointestinal tract, and this is known as the epithelial lining of the gastrointestinal tract. This epithelial lining is thrown into multiple folds. Okay, it is not stacked. The epithelium is not like this. Rather, it is being folded. It is being thrown into multiple folds. So whenever the epithelium is getting folded like this, it will increase the surface area. Okay, it will increase the surface area, and so this is thrown into folds and helps in the digestion and absorption of food. It provides more area for the digestion of food particles, as well as it provides more area for the absorption of food particles. Then lamina propria, it supports the epithelial lining. Lamina propria, a thin layer of connective tissue, it will provide support to the epithelial cells. Okay, and this consists of connective tissue, lymphatics, blood vessels, glandular tissue. So epithelium is nothing but it is large collection of epithelial cells. So these cells, they need to get their food and nutrition. So how are they going to get? They should have blood supply, they should have a nerve supply, they should have lymphatics, everything. So they consist of lymphatics in order to drain the fluid, blood vessels in order to get the nutrients, and the glandular tissue. Glandular tissue means they help in the secretion of digestive juices. Okay, and muscularis mucosae, the outer longitudinal and inner circular layer, also called muscularis interna. So in the muscularis layer, we had mentioned about muscularis externa. So there is one more layer of muscle which is present in the mucosa, which is called muscularis interna. So in mucosa also we have muscle layer. Coming to the blood supply of the digestive system. So this receives, the digestive tract receives the largest amount of the cardiac output. So the heart function is to pump the blood, isn't it? And this blood should go to the brain, should go to the lungs, should go to the muscles, should go to the bones, it should go to almost every organ in the body. So among all the structures, the digestive tract receives the largest amount of blood from the heart. This varies depending on the amount of work being done by the gastrointestinal tract. And this is mainly supplied by a special type of circulation called splanchnic circulation. Splanchnic circulation means the circulation helps in transporting blood to the digestive tract. And this has the lowest peripheral vascular resistance. Okay, if the blood flow is more, obviously the resistance will be less. If there is more resistance to the flow, the blood flow will be reduced. So this is having a lowest peripheral vascular resistance. Regulation. How the functions of the digestive tracts are regulated? It is again with the help of nervous system. Okay, the main function of the nervous system is to regulate the functions of different structures. So here again it is done by the nervous system. It is by intrinsic as well as extrinsic. Intrinsic means we have a special nervous system within the digestive tract itself. And this intrinsic nervous system is called enteric nervous system. Enteric means related to the gut. Gut means it is the digestive tract. Okay, so it is both by the functions of the digestive tract are regulated by both the intrinsic nervous system as well as extrinsic. Intrinsic it is with the help of enteric nervous system. So sympathetic and parasympathetic. As you are aware, the autonomic nervous system it mainly controls the functions of the viscera or the abdominal organs. So in the same way, the digestive tract has both sympathetic and parasympathetic innervation. The sympathetic it is always by thoracolumbar outflow, whereas the parasympathetic it is craniosacral outflow. So sympathetic it is from the thoracic and the lumbar divisions, okay, where the sympathetic chain is present, and it is also from the CDM plexus, mesenteric plexus, and hypogastric ganglia. And the main neurotransmitter which is regulating the functions are the epinephrine, whereas in parasympathetic it is mainly craniosacral outflow, that is mainly the vagus nerve. So wherever you hear the vagus nerve stimulation, it is parasympathetic. It is up to the first half of the large intestine. Only till the first half of the large intestine, the parasympathetic innervation is there, that is the vagus nerve. And the rest of the GI is supplied by S2 S4 segment, that is second and fourth sacral segments. And the neurotransmitter is acetylcholine. So just remember, the entire gastrointestinal tract it is under the control of sympathetic and parasympathetic system. Sympathetic, the neurotransmitter is adrenaline, that is the epinephrine. Whereas the parasympathetic it is always through vagus nerve. Whenever vagus nerve is there, it is the acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter. So the processes involved in the digestive system are ingestion and propulsion of food with mixing. Okay, ingestion is I have already told. Ingestion and propulsion. Propulsion means forward movement of the food particles. In the digestive tract, forward means the food always should go from oral to the pharynx, oral cavity to the pharynx, to the esophagus, to the stomach, to the intestine, then to the large intestine, and to the rectum. Okay, that is propulsion. Propulsion of food mixing. It is not only just the movement of the food, it should get mixed with the digestive juices. Okay, next secretion of digestive juices and their control. This is very, very important. If the digestive juices are not secreted in sufficient quantity, the process of digestion will be affected, which in turn will affect the process of absorption and process of absorption. So finally, all these processes aid in the digestion of the food and the absorption of important nutrients. So that was about a brief introduction about the gastrointestinal system. Okay, the functional organization we have learned. Then what are the structures which are present in the alimentary canal? What are their functions? And what is the structure of the gastrointestinal wall? That is, the epithelium is there. Then the mucosa, submucosa, that is the mucosa, submucosa, muscularis, muscle layer is there, and finally the serous layer. And now I am going to discuss with the salivary juice. So I will discuss the salivary juice under these headings. First, anatomy of the salivary glands and now supply and histology. Then the composition, and this will be in detail again in anatomy. Okay, so since I don't know whether it is being covered in anatomy or not, I thought I'll just discuss briefly about the functional anatomy of the salivary glands. The composition of the salivary juice and the characteristic features of the salivary juice. Then function. This is very important. Usually this question will be asked. What are the functions of salivary juice? If you know the composition, you can write the functions. Okay. Finally, how the secretion is regulated. That means which are the factors which can increase the secretion and which can decrease the secretion. And finally, the applied aspects. So what will happen in which condition the salivary secretion is increased and in which condition it is reduced. So this is, in this diagram you can see some of the glandular tissue has been shown here. So this is a bigger gland which is, these are the three important salivary glands which are present in the face area. Okay, these are present in the face area. So this is the parotid gland with its duct. Okay, and this is the sublingual gland. Sublingual gland. Sublingual means which is lingual means the tongue. Sublingual means it is present beneath the tongue, without the tongue. Then submandibular. Submandibular is usually the location like this, submandibular gland. Okay. So this is where the submandibular gland is located with the duct. So all these they have a duct. Okay. They have a duct. So these are the glands which may be help in the secretion of salivary juice. Okay. So which are the salivary glands which are present in the body? We have two parotid glands. We have many sublingual glands and we have the submandibular glands. So all these glands secrete salivary juice. So coming to the characteristic features of the juice which is secreted by these glands. So salivary glands, about 25% of the salivary juice is secreted by the parotid glands. The nature of the secretion is called serous. Serous means it is more of watery in nature. So that is, the secretion is watery, it is thick. When it is watery, it will be thick, it will not be sticky or thick. So it is thick, and this is rich in enzymes. This is rich in enzymes, okay? And the duct of the parotid gland is called ssins duct. So the juice which is secreted in the parotid gland will be released into the oral cavity with the help of a duct. Then the submandibular, which is also called submaxillary salivary glands, they contribute for 70% of the total salivary juice. Okay, the major portion of salivary juice is secreted by submandibular salivary glands. So this is mixed. That means the nature of the salivary juice is both serous as well as mucus. The one more type is mucus. So it is mixed type of secretion, and this is moderately viscous. Moderate viscous means it will be thick, bit viscid, not like serous secretion, watery and thin. And the duct of the submandibular gland is called Wharton's duct. Okay, it is name given to the duct of the submandibular gland. Then the third is sublingual. Sublingual glands they contribute for a very less percentage. That is only 5% of the juice is secreted by the sublingual salivary glands. And the nature of the salivary juice is mucus predominantly, but sometimes it may be mixed. Mucus no secretions, very thick and viscid. Okay, it's very sticky, thick and viscid. So that is mucus. So it is viscid and this is rich in mucus. Mucus means it is the nasal secretion, but sometimes it will be very sticky. Okay, and the duct of the sublingual gland is called duct of Greediness. Okay, so this can be asked in one mistake. So stensis, it is the parotid duct. Wharton's, it is the submandibular duct. Greediness, it is the sublingual duct. So coming to the composition and character of the salivary juice. So composition, it is relatively large volume. How much of salivary juice is secreted per day? It is almost 1.5 liters, 1500 ml per day of salivary juice will be secreted. So 20% by the parotid gland, 70% by the submandibular gland, and 5% by the sublingual gland, which you have learned in the previous line. What is the pH? If you look at the pH, it is about 7.8. It is slightly alkaline in nature. Okay, the pH may range between 7 to 8. Okay, it may range between 7 to 8 and it is slightly alkaline in nature. Then composition. It has got high potassium concentration. It has got low osmolarity. Osmolarity means usually we have solely secretion. And this is secreted in two stages, okay? Acidine and in the salivary duct. Okay, that I will show in the diagram. The specialized organic materials are also present in the salivary juice. So overall, the secretion is about 1.5 liters per day. Plus it now. So the overall the secretion is about 1.5 liters per day, and it is contribution. It is major contribution is from the submandibular salivary glands, and the pH it is ranging between 7 to 8, and it is slightly alkaline in nature. And composition it has got both organic and inorganic solids. So this is the composition of the salivary juice. So saliva, if you take, it will have 99.5% it is mainly made up of water. Okay, so 99.5% is made up of water, and only 0.5% is made up of solids. You can write it down. Okay, so water is 99.5%, solids is 0.5%. In that 0.5% of solids, we have organic solids, inorganic solids. Organic is 0.3%. Inorganic is 0.2%. So in the organic solids, we have the most important enzyme, digestive enzyme, which is present in the salivary juice, is the thiamine. So please remember, it is the thiamine. The other name given to that is salivary amylase, which helps in the digestion of carbohydrates. Okay, so this is thiamine, which is an important enzyme present in the salivary juice. Liver lipase. Liver lipase is an enzyme which helps in the breakdown of fat. That is the breakdown of fat. That is the digestion of fat. Then gallagrin. So this is one more important substance which helps in the gallagrin. This is substance which is present in the salivary juice, organic substance. IgA. IgA is nothing but immunoglobulin A. It is the antibody, a type of antibody which is present abundantly in all the secretions of the body. Since salivary juice it is a secretion, so this IgE is also present in salivary juice. Lysozyme. Lysozyme is the most important hydrolytic enzyme, which is protective in function. Mucin. Mucin it is very important for lubricating the food. The carbohydrates is again one more important enzyme which is present there, which helps in the formation of bicarbonate H2CO3, which is carbonic acid, which dissolves into H plus and HCO3. So this is contributing for the bicarbonate acid to the salivary juice, making it more alkaline. And the blood group substances are also present in salivary juice. Coming to the inorganic solids, which is only about 0.2%. So we have positively charged ions and negatively charged ions. Positively charged ions are called cations. So these are mainly sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium. And anions are the negatively charged ions which are present in the salivary juice. So these are mainly chloride, Cl minus chloride, HCO3 minus the bicarbonate ion, PO4, phosphate ions, sulfate ions, and bromide ions. Okay, so this is the composition of the salivary juice. So coming to the salivary secretion, salivary glands, as we have already learned, parotid gland will release the secretion through the duct of Stenson, submandibular with the duct of Wattles, and sublingual gland with the duct of Williams. Nerve supply is innervated by both the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. Always remember the parasympathetic will increase the secretion of salivary juice. Histology. So histology, if you observe the salivary gland under the microscope, if you take a section of the tissue and if you observe it under the microscope, you will get to see glandular structure. Acinas. Acinas means small pockets of cells. Okay, so these are called acini. Acini with some granules in. These granules are called zymotic granules. Okay, and these are the granules which aid in the secretion of salivary juice. And once the juice is secreted in the acids, it is thrown out into the duct with the help of myoepithelial cells. These myoepithelial cells, they are contractile in nature. They help in releasing the secretion of this salivary juice into the oral cavity through the duct. So this is the the histological picture of the any salivary gland you take. So these are the acini. Okay, these are the same acini which are managed by various types of cells. Okay, so these are the acini, and these cells are going to secrete the salivary juice. Okay, so this is an example for the serous acini which are predominantly present in the parotid gland. Okay, parotid gland it mainly contains serous acini, and therefore the secretion is serous in nature. So this is the meaning of acini. Acini means it is having a large collection of cells. And finally, these cells will secrete juice into the duct. Okay, this is the duct, and this is the secretory duct which releases the secretions into the oral cavity. And these are the bioepithelial cells which are present at the base of the acini. Okay, they are contractile in nature. So when they contract, they will push the secretions of these cells into the ductules. These are the ductules which finally join to form the major duct, and finally it will be released into the oral cavity. So coming to the innervation of the salivary glands, as I told, these salivary glands they are innervated by both sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, because these are under the control of a center which is located in the medulla. Because even the salivary secretion which is directly under the influence of the higher center. Okay, it is controlled by a special center which is located in the medulla. Finally, they have the signals. They have the afferents flowing to the center, and they have the efferent coming back from the center to the gland, and that is going to regulate the secretion of salivary juice from the salivary glands. Okay, so this is about the nervous system which is involved, and also you can understand this. So just remember the nasopharyngeal nerve, that is the ninth cranial nerve, and the facial nerve, that is the quadratic nerve. They play a very important role in regulating the secretion of salivary juice from the salivary glands. Okay, so the sympathetic division, as I told, efferent. So finally, the salivary secretion is under the influence of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So stimulation of parasympathetic nervous system will cause increased secretion of the salivary juice secretion. Now, let's see what are the functions of salivary juice. So this is very important. So you must know in detail about the functions of the salivary juice. So coming to the mechanical functions. Mechanical means what are they? What are the mechanical functions of the salivary juice? Saliva helps in keeping the mouth moist. Okay. So now I am talking in between what I am doing. I'm swallowing this saliva. So in order to keep my mouth moist, only then I can speak fluently. Okay, so the saliva helps in keeping the mouth moist, and it helps in speech. Okay, without saliva, you will have altered speech, slurred speech. Okay, it helps in speech, facilitating movements of the lips and the tongue. Okay, because if there is no saliva, the mouth will become dry, and your lips tend to your lips will not be having free movements, and including the tongue. So saliva helps in speech, saliva keeps the mouth moist. It acts as a lubricant and helps in the formation of food bolus. Okay, it acts as a lubricant. It will lubricate the food, and it helps in forming the bolus. Only when bolus is formed, you can swallow the food. And it dilutes hot and irritating substances. Okay, suppose unknowingly if you place a hot food inside your mouth, what you do? You will do like that. So by doing that, more saliva will be secreted, and the hot will get mixed with the saliva. So it will dilute the hot, and it will also irritate the substance. It will dilute the irritant substances if you have consumed accidentally. And this facilitates swallowing. So the mechanical functions include it helps in keeping the mouth moist, it helps in the process of speech, it acts as a lubricant, it helps in the bolus formation, it dilutes the hot substances as well as the irritating substances, and this facilitates the swallowing. The act of swallowing is called deglutition. Coming to the digestive function. So remember, please recall the composition of salivary juice. So in the organic substances, there I have mentioned its presence of thiamine, lingual lipase. So So what does lingual lipase do? Lingual lipase digests as much as 30% of dietary triglyceride. Okay, lipase, wherever you come across this enzyme lipase, it helps in the digestion of fat. Okay, fat, triglyceride, it is a fat. So it almost digests 30% of dietary triglycerides. Thiamine is also called salivary amylase. So this will split the cooked starch into maltose. That is a simple carbohydrate moiety, complex carbohydrate molecules into a simple sugars. That is like maltose, glucose, and galactose. Simple sugars, fructose. Excretory function. Okay, excretory function need not be done by kidney saliva. So the saliva also helps in excreting urea, the drugs, heavy metals and thiocyanate. Okay, saliva also does excretory function. It helps in the excretion of urea, drugs, heavy metals and thiocyanate. Then protective function. Protective function means it will protect the body against infections. How it is possible? As I mentioned in the composition, it has secondary immunoglobulin, which is nothing but IgA. So IgA, wherever it is present, it is antibody. Antibody means it will fight with the antigen. Antigen means it is nothing but the microorganism or the invading pathogen. They will have antigen. So this combines with antigen and it will neutralize it. It will kill the microorganism. So the IgA is protective in function. It is a secondary immunoglobulin which is present in salivary juice. Lysozymes, as I told, powerful hydrolytic enzymes. They can kill the microorganisms. Lactoferrin, then protein-rich proteins. This mainly protect the tooth enamel. Enamel is the whitish coat of the teeth. Enamel that binds to toxic nanolins. Okay, it washes from the food debris and prevents bacterial growth. Okay, it washes down the food debris and it prevents bacterial growth. So when you eat, even if you do not get water, we will try to swallow it with the saliva. So this is going to clean our mouth and it will prevent the collection of debris in the teeth. Okay, if the debris remains in the tooth, what will happen? It will lead to formation of caries. Caries means infection of the tooth. Okay, so this is prevented by the saliva. So these are some of the important functions of the saliva. It does mechanical functions, it does protective functions, it does digestive functions, and it does excretory functions. So it serves as a solvent for the molecules that stimulate the taste buds. Of course, it has large amount of water. Water is acting as a solvent. So this also acts as a solvent for various food particles which can stimulate the taste bud. It keeps the mouth and teeth clean. It helps in water balance and it helps in temperature regulation. Okay, and buffering action maintains the oral pH at 7. Salivary juice, it maintains the oral pH at 7. So saliva also helps in neutralizing the gastric acid and giving the heartburn with gastric juices regurgitated in the esophagus. So sometimes you might have experienced some thing will come out from the abdomen to the mouth. So in that case, even saliva can neutralize the acid. That is nothing but acid regurgitation. So it can neutralize the acid and it can relieve the heartburn. That is burning sensation in the chest and when gastric juice regurgitates into the esophagus. So that was about the functions and the composition and functions of the salivary juice. Now coming to the regulation of secretion. So regulation is mainly by the neural regulation. So parasympathetic stimulation is mainly causes excessive secretion of salivary juice, which is mainly watery in nature. Profuse means in large quantity. So whenever parasympathetic stimulation is there, it will lead to increased secretion of large quantity of salivary juice, which is watery in nature. Okay. Whenever anything is secreted in large quantity, means it is watery. Fine. So profuse watery secretion, and this is the stimulus for this calcium and the vasoactive intestinal membrane. So they cause the stimulation of parasympathetic nervous system. So vasodilatation, it stimulates the secretion, and the neurotransmitter, as I have mentioned already, is the acetylcholine. Now, coming to the sympathetic stimulation, it brings about vasoconstriction. Vasoconstriction means it brings about constriction of the blood vessels of the salivary glands. So, when there is vasoconstriction, there is less blood flow to glands. So there will be less secretion of salivary juice. Okay, and the mechanism it is mediated through a neurotransmitter epinephrine or epinephrine. And therefore, when the blood flow is reduced, secretion is reduced, it will produce scanting. Scanting is very little secretion of the salivary juice, and it is viscid in nature, sticky in nature. So it is also altered by the dry and the fine food. Okay, suppose if you take a dry food and a fine food, it will increase the secretion of salivary juice and reflex secretion. So in this we have you might have read about conditioned reflex and unconditioned reflex dog experiment which was studied by Conrad, a scientist. Okay, so unconditioned means whenever food is there in the mouth, that is acting as a stimulus for the secretion of salivary juice. So this is unconditioned. Okay, stimulus from esophagus and as well as from the stomach. Conditioned means the food is not there in the mouth. Suppose if I suddenly remember masala dosa, having masala dosa, so because of COVID we have not gone to hotel or something. Probably suddenly if I start remembering that day I went to the hotel, I had masala dosa. So what will happen now? My mouth will start watering. Okay. So this is the sight, the thought of food, the thought of the food itself. The sight, okay. If you remember, the sight and the smell of the food itself can also stimulate the increased secretion of salivary juice. So this is an example for condition. For that, it should have been conditioned. The person should have tasted the food. The person should have linked the food consumption of food with some thing. Only then it is called conditioned. Unconditioned means it is not. When you eat food, if you place inside the mouth, it will act as a stimulus for the secretion of salivary juice. It is unconditioned. Conditioned means, if you remember the dog experiment, the giving food was paired with ringing the bell. Okay, giving the food was paired with ringing the bell. The dog was trained in such a way that the bell was not rung. Then after few days, the dog it was waiting for the food. So then the giving the food was paired with ringing the bell. Then after few days, what Paulo did, he removed the food. He was not eating. So just by ringing the bell, as the ringing the bell was associated with giving food, the dog started salivating. So this made him think that conditioned reflex can be the salivary secretion can be increased by means of conditioned reflex mechanism. That is the sight of the food itself or the smell of the food itself or thought of the food itself can stimulate the salivary secretion. So salivary secretion decreases. Which are the factors which can decrease the secretion? During sleep, when the person is fatigued, and when there is dehydration, when the person is suffering from loose motions, vomiting. In that case, the salivary secretion is reduced. Fear, when the person is very much fear, okay, and atropine and other cholinergic problems. This is drug induced. So it can be drug induced. So these conditions can reduce the salivary juice secretion. So coming to the outline aspects, as we have learnt, there are three important salivary glands: the parotid glands, then the submandibular and the sublingual. Submaxillary or the submandibular and the sublingual. Any inflammation of the parotid gland is called parotitis. Clinically, you can see the patients having some large swellings in front of the ears, which is very much painful. Okay, so that is called mumps. The inflammation of the parotid gland, which is called parotitis, it is otherwise called mumps. Okay, and this can be prevented by vaccination, that is MMR, measles, mumps, rubella vaccination. So in village, some of the individuals who have not undergone this vaccination, they might suffer from this inflammation of this parotid swelling. So this is called mumps or the parotitis. Ataraxism or xerostomia. Xero means dryness. Stomia means tongue. Stomia is related to the tongue. So dry tongue or ataraxism. So suppression of the saliva. Absence of secretion of salivary juice is called xerostomia. This may be seen whenever there is obstruction to the duct of the salivary glands. Okay, the glands is secreting salivary juice, but it's into the oral cavity because in between we have the duct. These ducts are very small, narrow tubes. If there is any block in the duct itself, the juice will not been released. So ductal obstruction can lead to xerostomia, irradiation therapy, especially patients who are suffering from cancer, they undergo radiotherapy. Okay, so when they are getting exposed to a very high radiation, so that time also they will suffer from xerostomia or blindness of the lung. CROVL, opposite of blindness of lung is CROVL, excessive secretion of salivary juice, hypersecretion of salivary juice. So this can be seen in case of pregnancy, like Parkinson's disease, which is CNS related disorder, like neoplasm tumors. Okay, if there are any tumors present in the gland itself, they want secreting salivary juice. So in that case, what will happen? The person cannot swallow all the saliva, they may be draining of the saliva itself. So that is called CRODIA. So this is about the salivary juice composition and functions, and also the functional organization. Okay, thank you. Manjula, class is